What is up, my guys, and welcome back to the channel known as Azure. As always, I'm your most endearing host, Daniel, followed almost always by one of my co-hosts.
Julian.
And today we actually have a special guest with us. He's a man, he's rising to fame on TikTok. You guys might know him, you guys might not know him, probably not because you guys are so few in between. Name's Eddie. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Eddie.
Hey guys, I'm Eddie. Follow me on TikTok if you guys are interested.
Yep, links to his TikTok and everything like that will be in the description below, along with my Twitch and Discord as always. And as always, gotta get that YouTuber BS out of the way. Comment whatever you want, like if you want, share. Always make sure to share because you never know who might like it. But yeah, let's get into it. Recently, we watched Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, I believe, right?
Yes.
Was that last one? Okay, yeah. So, Eddie, what were your initial thoughts on the movie?
Very outdated. You could tell that the movie was made in early 2000s. Respectfully, consider a cinematic masterpiece, but I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan, but I gave it a shot. It was entertaining. There's moments where constructive criticism, but it was an American treasure, so I can't really say anything.
Yeah, no. Did you say something about the Harry Potter thing? Harry Potter, and all the fans are gonna go ape shit.
Yeah, they're gonna cancel me.
Yeah, Julian, what about you? What did you think of the movie after rewatching it?
Yeah, I definitely saw more in the sense of what's it called? The cinematic style it had. You definitely see the differences between 1 through 3 and 4 to 7 and how they made it. And how definitely with the first 3 it is really like the kind of a filming of like a kid's film, and they were trying to make it like that but with like magic and stuff. Because, you compare the shots of that and say like a Home Alone or things like that. It's very similar, kind of warm style, where 4 to 7 has a very a darker tone to it, just like in how it's shot, which really is an interesting thing to see.
It's interesting how you mentioned 3, because 3 is actually more of a turning point to the darker side of everything, because 3 is Prisoner of Azkaban, and that's literally a whole dark turn, because that's the new director, that's a new Dumbledore, that's almost new everything, new sets and everything like that, and there's more of a darker tone to 3, so I'm surprised you're actually mentioning that 3 is more on the lighter side.
Well, you see, what I'm saying is that, yeah, it's a shift, right? It is true, but there is still a lot of that from of 1 to 2 in it, and it's also before they really the actors were really aged up. So yeah, it was like 1 to 2 is this, 3 is the middle, and then 4 to 7 is like the newer kinds of half style of it. And the thing I'd say too about that is that, well, the new Dumbledore is kind of like, I mean, what were they gonna do about that?
Yeah, you can't. The old one died, so you can't really stop that from happening. So yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting to say. Like, most people say like 1 and 2 are basically the same thing, but 3 is where the actual major shift happens, because even though it's not really a noticeable change in terms of appearance, like there is it is like showing that they're actually going through change bodily and emotionally in the movie. I don't know. That's it. That's just interesting thing. What about you, Eddie? What do you think? Do you think
I agree with Julian that it starts off more like an innocent family movie. Like, I feel like Harry Potter's like a Christmas movie regardless. But I was gonna say this. I was gonna say that basically Harry Potter, the first few movies, they start like it's for children, and then later on, once they reach adulthood, it becomes, how do I say it, like, more serious situations, life or death. They try to make it life or death in the first few movies, but it's kind of like, where are the adults? There's adult wizards, and they're just letting these kids roam around and deal with all this, deadly life or death situations. It's kind of like, what were the adults at? I think it's just plot convenience that, it has to be Harry Potter, it has to be the child, because every child wants to be the hero. And I was like, all right.
So that raises a question, like, do you believe in the theory that this is all happening in his head? Like, the whole theory goes as to say, like, he's actually just stuck under the staircase, and he's just dreaming about this. Like, do you subscribe to that theory?
He has a huge scar on his head. Like, you could just imagine he maybe has brain trauma from that situation.
What about you, Julian? Do you believe in that theory?
I don't believe in theories like that, so that's all I'll have to say. Any of this, like, it's all a dream. I feel like I've said this in like 5 videos already now, but yeah, like, anytime that's the case, nope.
Yeah, it kind of just feel like that's the whole cop-out kind of situation. Like, it's interesting to see how people actually kind of bring that into it, how it comes across their mind, like, how can this be a cop-out in a sense? Well, I mean, like no, like it's just like it's kind of like lazy storytelling in a sense.
Yeah, like I'll say this, right? I don't disrespect most theories because it's like it's fun, but those theories are the only ones where it's like stop making those unless there's actual like
evidence to back it up.
Something,
you know who
literally
else is in a coma?
anything. Yes.
Ash Ketchum.
Yeah, that's what
not
I was gonna about to bring that up. Like if Eddie did, and it's like the Ash Ketchum thing is like, no.
Oh, wait, speaking of Ash Ketchum, there's also like this other theory.
Harry's always aging though, so.
Yes, he always escapes, but I mean, like he does it with the help of his friends and like some other type of ex machina type deal that he does, like how in the second movie he found the sword of Gryffindor and everything like that, so that kind of helped him out. And then the Phoenix kind of gouged out the
If
snake's
Dumbledore
eyes.
knew where the chamber was, why didn't he just come do it himself?
Well, because then we wouldn't have.
I don't feel like dealing with the situation. Yeah. I'm gonna send just a sword to the guy.
No, that's why. That's why, to bring it back to your other topic, is plot convenience. That's why if Dumbledore did it himself, there'd be no movie really. So it would literally be 30 seconds, him walking in it, him destroying the journal, and then him walking out. That's literally all it is. So yeah, in order to tell a story, there has to be some level of plot convenience. It doesn't have to be completely believable.
Why can't it be the guy that I helped Dumbledore kill the villain? Like Dumbledore was about to die, and bam, Harry steps in to kind of like was Vegeta during the Cell Saga. Like Gohan was about to like lose the Cell, but Vegeta was able to like weaken him to a point with that blast to like destroy Cell. Like.
Well, then that doesn't really leave much for Harry to quote unquote grow in a sense. That's what.
Well, yeah, he got his first experience killing a monster, and then as the movies progressed, he's now the independent hero. There's no other hero that can stand up to him. He's more adult. He's more developed.
Mm-hmm.
Now he can deal with the big issue because if you know about Harry Potter, which I know somewhat, there's a Horcrux. So the original Voldemort will show up and. That's who the villain buildup is. That's the whole point of the Harry Potter movies, because you had the Horcrux piece, first villain, second villain, and originally you're gonna get the original one in the very end. That's like the climax.
Yeah, see that's the thing. Like, you need a somewhat of a stepping off point in order to actually get to that level. So, regardless of how he gets there, it needs to be shown, because otherwise people are just gonna call it bullshit. As to how he actually got there.
I call it bullshit because the snake had so many opportunities to kill Harry right there. And the man was literally swinging this like a piñata in the air. Like he was not touching that. That snake was just waiting to die. Like at that point.
I know what you're saying, but like think about it this way: the snake's blind, really, so it has to use its other senses and like
sound. And Harry saying
He's not. It goes to a point where he was actually not really making that much noise because he figured out the first part where he's walking across the chamber. Or running across from the snake, that he's making puddle noises. I wish
to pull up the clip right now to show you exactly what I'm talking about.
No, I know what you're talking about, like where he's on top of the statue and he's swinging that thing around, and the basilisk is actually almost getting him.
Telling me he's not making noise while he's swinging that.
I'm saying the movie's going to detail as to showing that he's trying his most to make as little noise as possible. First with him running away carefully, not avoiding puddles and everything like that. Then him distracting the snake by throwing a rock into a different direction. But the thing is that in order for him to carry that sword and to swing it around, he has to make the grunting noise. But it shows that he dodges it at the last second, which is kind of unrealistic, really. If you ever see how fast a snake can strike, then no, you can't really dodge that unless you're trained for that. And I don't think he's trained for that. So yeah, that's the point I'm getting at.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. Wait on this, Julian. We need a third party for this.
Oh well, for this it's just like, I mean. It's a movie, and so like obviously if a young child like did that at all, like they'd be dead. So I mean that's kind of how it goes no matter what. If we're talking about like that doesn't make any sense. It's like yeah, they're kids, so it's supposed to be childlike fantasy where they can actually do stuff that like matters. But I want to get to a different point since this is kind of thing where we draw around, which is Hagrid is always the best. I don't know if we're ever going to do another one of these movies with Harry Potter, so I just want to get this out of the way now, is that I love Hagrid. He's one of the only reasons I would rewatch these movies. Like, any scene he's in are the best scenes. It's always so funny. And
yeah, because all his scenes are the ones that have turned into memes at this point.
And they make him, like, look, he's always so big and just, like, he looks like a menace. He looks like a guy who could really kick some guy's ass.
I think he is that tall in real life. Actually, I don't really know. He might actually be that tall in real life. So, there's that.
Yeah, and he's like the only non-wizard guy that has any purpose in these films.
No, he's a wizard. He's just a low-level wizard. He's half giant, half wizard.
No, that's what I mean though. It's he's the only one who isn't using magic that matters. He can use magic, just he barely uses he only uses items that involve magic. And so because this is one of the problems I have with Harry Potter is that anybody that isn't magical doesn't matter. And it's the same kind of thing with most Muggle wizard characters also don't matter except for the three main ones.
How so? Give an example.
Outside of say Ron. Wait, okay, who are the Muggles? Is Hermione and Ron Muggles? I forget.
No, Muggles are humans. They're regular humans.
No, half Muggles is what I'm saying.
So Hermione's actually a mudblood. Her parents are full-on Muggles, so she's only a wizard through a genetic mutation or something like that.
Yeah, and then Ron isn't he half?
He's a full-blooded wizard.
All right.
His mom's a wizard and his dad's a wizard.
So outside of Hermione, how many mudbloods or half Muggle or any kind of people that are wizards that aren't just full wizards really
Voldemort.
Yeah, there's that, and then Harry isn't he half?
No, his mom and dad were both. His mom was a mudblood.
Yeah.
But Harry himself is a full blood.
Wait, but if she was a mudblood, wouldn't that make him isn't that one of the reasons why
he's quarter mudblood? He's quarter Muggle. That's all it is. But it doesn't really count in the universe of Harry Potter, because you're born from two wizards, you're pure blood, regardless of your parents' ancestry.
Well, depending on what society you're in, because the one that the Slytherins, I forget the guy's name that had Dobby originally.
Malfoy.
Yeah, Malfoy. That family line, anybody that isn't full on, if they have even an inch of they were a mudblood, they're no. Which is what I'm saying. Anyone that isn't Harry or Hermione or stuff like that, they don't really do much. And so that's one of the issues I got with that, where it's no, you shouldn't be like that to Muggles or mudbloods and all that. But then when all of them are just painted as being annoying or useless or incompetent, kind of makes it where you're wait, so do they have a point then if all of them are like this outside of the two main characters?
Well, three actually.
Yeah, three. But that's that's kind of the thing, right? It's that's one of the issues I got, where it's there's gotta be a few more that are something. And that's why I wish it was more characters a Hagrid, right? Where they might not be the best wizards, but they still have a focus in the story.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't matter. They do show more people being useful in later movies. In Order of the Phoenix, you see the Order actually fighting off Death Eaters and everything like that. So they actually do something, and they do have plot relevance too, because they're established in the beginning of the movie. Then they come back at the end. Then they pop in here and there in the middle. So that does happen in later movies. Just more so, the early on movies were just meant to, I guess, relate to the main three so far.
But even then, that's only a little bit, and it's not that much.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, aside from the main three, we do get to interact with Ron's twin brothers more so as the story progresses until at least until one of them dies in the last movie. Spoilers.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
It's the kind of thing I have with a problem with a few the mangas and stuff like that, where say in Dragon Ball, everything just kind of becomes sane focused, or in Tokyo Ghoul, everyone just kind of becomes a ghoul. And it's what the heck? There's no it's no human characters.
Yeah,
I mean, we got Yamcha.
It's what does he
come
do
on,
exactly?
Really? You're gonna bring up Yamcha in this? If you're gonna bring up a human in Dragon Ball, at least bring up Tien or something, or Krillin, someone who's actually useful.
I mean, Yamcha was useful in the Dragon Ball series, believe it or not.
Or another one of that is Percy Jackson books, when I read those, where it was also just
oh god,
every human every human sucks or whatever. And it's that's not fun.
I know.
I mean, the Percy Jackson series itself, everybody who wasn't half god or parents of a god, they weren't really useful.
Yeah, so it's it's not fun. It's one of my favorite characters is in a book called Aragon, where like
Oh, yeah,
Aragon has
that.
like this ultra superpower,
I
right?
remember that
like
book.
Harry,
It's a
right?
huge chapter book.
But then there's
Yeah.
this guy who's like the side character who has this hammer, and he's just like a normal dude, but he's just so like such a go-getter that he like can keep up with like a lot of these like high tier like people, and that's like a really fun part because you're like, yeah, this guy is like from the bottom to the top, and there's at least like one of those, and not everyone is like perfect bloodline technique kind of thing.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, it does really get annoying, like when like a bunch of characters just like have this whole bunch of random ass BS type stuff, and like no one else really gets a chance to show off like what they could do and everything like that. I think is that kind of like what you're saying in a sense?
Yeah, well, it's mainly like what like cause part of the thing in this Harry Potter is like, no, not only wizards are good, other things can be good too. Like in some of these films, and it's like, well, if you don't show that other people can be good, that doesn't really mean much. Like, you gotta, it's show, don't tell. You can't just write that and then not show it. And that's another thing with like magic's amazing, and it's, you have a little bit more of like your mind can think it's cool, but like a lot of the times outside of in like some of the books with Dumbledore where he does like the water ball and stuff like that, it really is just like, I can levitate a little bit, or things like that, where it's like, okay. Or like even with a lot of Kadabra, it's like it's really just a gun when you really get down to it.
Isn't there like another Harry Potter like spin-off series? Like
Yeah,
it's called Magical
Fantastic-
Beasts. Yeah, Fantastic Beasts, where it's
and where to
like
find them, yeah.
it kind of like branches out into that whole whatever Julian's talking about. Like, there's like bigger things out there besides just wizards.
I mean, kind of. If I remember from the first one, right, they did have a funny like human character that really stole the show in the movies. But all in all, it still adds up to the same thing. Like, wizards are the most powerful thing. Everyone else is really like non-existent at that point. So
Except for the banking system sometimes with the gold and stuff.
With the goblins and the gold and everything like that.
That's legitimately like the only thing that the wizards are like even slightly like a bit like scared of is the money.
Yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, but to change the subject a bit, like I think we could all agree that Malfoy, the kid Malfoy, is like a bitch and a half, really.
I don't know, you know, I like how Malfoy works though.
No, that's why I like. He's a bitch and a half, but he's an entertaining bitch and a half.
I don't blame him though. Like, look at his parents. Like, I feel like it's nurture over nature. So it's like
it's more so his dad. Like, because if you see his mom with the little interaction we have in the future movies, like she's actually the one that cares for him, and the dad's actually like protected the family name and some shit like that. And don't embarrass me. So it's kind of like that.
Yeah. Well,
so you got a point with the whole nature and nurture thing, but it's more so with the father figure.
With that, it's like, it's not even that, it's just the fact that they're very like my pure bloodline, and what else is there? It's like, you have to be the best, you're the best no matter what. And he also is like, you have to be the top at everything, which isn't even like the kind of thing that's like bad to say, because like it means that they were like, they loved him, but they did it to the extent where you can never really become his own person because they gave him everything he wanted. So it's really like, it's not emotional abuse, but it's emotional negligence, where it's like, we're gonna ignore like a certain side of things, but it's like they still love him. It's just that they're only within the family. It's like they don't really care about murdering the people. It's just they kind of, from circumstances with the whole like Voldemort deciding to like, what would it be called? Like, basically a homeless man goes into their house and says, I own this place now, in a sense.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. Like, it's more so like protect the family name, protect the family reputation. And if you fuck up, we're basically just going to disown you at this point until you can fix your fuck up. That's how it is. Yeah. But it's mostly shown with Lucius, his father. But his mother actually kind of does care for him, because in future movies, she actually just made the deal with Snape. And like, if anything happens to Malfoy, you're gonna fucking pay for it and everything like that.
Yeah, because like, but like I'm saying, like, is that even Lucius, like, yeah, he's part of the Death Eaters, but he's even like, he's probably one of like the least like crazy one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it does show like in the last movie too. Like, he shows like he calls to Draco saying like, "Let's go. We know shit's about to go down, so let's just go." At this point. So yeah, I mean, it shows he does care, but they made it more apparent that before that happened, he mainly just cared for the family name and everything like that.
Yeah, what do you think about this whole Draco stuff, Eddie?
Draco's the Malfoy's last name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Draco's the first name, Malfoy's the last name, but everyone just calls him Malfoy.
Yeah, so like the whole family are just like only Malfoy himself.
Yep.
I feel like he was part of a plot convenience, like I said before. Everything is all plot convenience just to make Harry like a lovable character. Harry needs an antagonist and a rival. So Malfoy was created. It just has someone who's the complete opposite of Harry Potter. Pure blood.
Someone's been handling everything in their life compared to Harry.
And let's have him interact with Harry in every single movie, and like
that's kind of how it goes with rivals, really. Because going back to Dragon Ball Z, like you see Goku, Vegeta,
Sasuke, Naruto. You got Spider-Man. You got
Spider-Man, Green Goblin, Venom, Sandman. You pick any kind of one you want.
Yeah, that one's a little bit more complicated, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's a bitch and a half in terms of character, but in terms of story, he's a good bitch and a half. Like, he's a necessary bitch and a half to have.
They give you hope with Malfoy, by giving him Malfoy has you see that there's some human aspects to the guy, where okay, maybe he's not that bad, but he still doesn't make the right decisions.
Yeah, that's more prominent in later movies too, because in the moment we watch, he's basically he treats everyone like shit in a sense, unless he gets his way. Even when it's his friends, he talks to them like they're nothing really, except when they agree with him.
Because he's a kid, he's not developed.
Yeah, that's why. Again, it goes to show in order to actually see the development with Harry, Ron, and everyone else, really, you have to keep following the movie, so you can't just really stop at one.
You also got to look at role models. His role models, his father. Harry has, what's his name? The half giant guy.
Hagrid.
Hagrid. Yeah. And throughout the movies, that's who they look up to. That's who they go for advice, questions. Where basically Malfoy doesn't. He has his dad, and his dad is just not the prime example.
So yeah. Anyways, yeah. So that's what I want to say about Malfoy. Bitch and a half, but necessary bitch and a half. It's kind of funny just to say bitch and a half repeatedly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other points you want to bring up about this movie for you guys?
I mean, I do like the stuff with Faker.
What do you mean, Faker?
Yeah, the guy who's like, I'm the best wizard ever. And it's like, just kidding. That was just for the books. I like that guy.
Oh, that dude.
That he's just he's just a full-on scammer. That's a fun stuff.
Dude, that scammer was actually pretty funny. He had some of the best comedic scenes in the movie. And especially one where they're in the chamber and Ron just knocks him out with the rock. Honestly, Ron had no hesitation at that point. He didn't know he was going to kill him, but he did it.
Do you guys think there's going to be a remake for the Harry Potter series to see in the future?
Oh, they're doing an HBO show. No one knows what it's going to be fully about yet, though.
Yeah, there's been talks about an HBO show that and it's actually, I think it's in production right now, but I don't know. It could be delayed, it could be not delayed, but there's going to be some controversy with that because you're going to know the diehard OG Harry Potter fans are going to be no, only these three characters can play these three characters. No one else can replace them and such like that.
I mean, that's the same thing with Star Wars and all that.
That's why there's gonna be some sort of backlash, but until we see the first trailer, the first set photos, or the first pictures of the new actors, we can't really make confident assumptions of what's gonna happen or not.
I thought you were gonna say the whole J.K. Rowling thing.
That too. I was getting to that. I'm more just focused on the whole actors and the whole casting and such like that. But go ahead, explain the J.K. Rowling thing because I can't really explain it properly.
All right, so I'll first start off with the fact that what is it? It's funny now with these newer actors, so the old actors. I mean, Daniel Radcliffe, the Harry Potter character. He's sometimes when I see the really young kids and it's that's Harry Potter. The kid will be like, what is it? Wait a second. No, he isn't. He's 10 or something. I'm 18. He's an old man. And he's like, oh man, I'm feeling it a bit now. And but yeah, with the J.K. Rowling thing though, is basically she makes a bunch of dumb comments about extended lore stuff that wasn't in the books, and she's like, this thing happened. The biggest example that won't be a controversial take would be, this is how they defecated before toilets existed. And it's I don't need to know that. And so it's if she's involved now, it's oh god, what is she gonna put in now that's what
is she gonna change at the last minute, or what is she thinking of changing nowadays? Wasn't also one of the whole controversial things was she made Dumbledore gay out of nowhere, something like that?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. It's extended lore stuff, and also she has sometimes she has some dumb opinions, which is that doesn't matter in the sense of the creator, but it's mainly creatively speaking, yeah, Dumbledore being gay after the fact, and the fact that there's no hints in the actual movie itself. What do you think about the gay thing, Eddie?
As a gay man, I want to say don't make characters that are already established gay just for how do I say it? Representation. It's you can't convert a character into something just for clout or just so you can have an audience for that community? Harry Potter already had a huge LGBT like audience.
Following.
Like, yeah, it's like why just milk it?
I guess like how it is to milk it to get every ounce of profit that she can out of it.
I mean, yeah, I feel so. Like, what was the last thing she wrote? Like,
she wrote Harry Potter 8, the one that no one liked.
Yeah, I think it was called The Cursed Son or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, she's probably desperate at that point. Like, okay, well, I need money. Like, Harry Potter was written so long ago.
Well, it's not the money. She just wants to feel like she's still relevant.
Yeah, so it's more so relevancy rather than popularity or something like that.
Because seriously, they make so much money from this. Like, is the reason why Daniel Radcliffe doesn't have to worry about like acting at all? It's like, I can just do the roles I like, and I don't have to worry because I have like millions of billions of dollars in like the bank that I don't have to worry about. So, and the only reason like Hermione's actress like does roles now is like, oh, I want to be like a role model to little girls, right? So if she didn't care about that part, it'd be like, yeah, she wouldn't need to act in all these big roles.
Then you have Ron's actor who was basically like, I think he just gave up on acting in general.
Yeah,
after the series ended,
he makes so much money, he doesn't need to worry about anything.
Exactly, because they're still getting royalties to this day, I think, just by merchandising, by licensing and everything like that, and just that's it.
Well, here's a good example. Home Alone had like 2 movies that people gave a shit about. Well, Macaulay Culkin is still making like tens of thousands or even above that in royalties. So that's only 2 movies. This shit had 8.
Had 8 and made and it made more so than Home Alone did. Like, it made like, I don't want to say like 10 times more than Home Alone.
The difference, Home Alone is a Christmas movie. Like,
no, I'm saying the royalty stuff. Like, we're not talking about like how the movies are made. We're just saying like the royalty. Same with another example was like with Star Trek is a good example where one actress is like, this Star Trek thing isn't gonna do well. I'm gonna give up and do this other role. There's only one movie. Turns out if she did the royalties for Star Trek, she would have made like tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands from just being in it because you get royalties from the syndication. Or Seinfeld's another good example of that, where like all those people that worked on that.
Not to mention that even if you successfully have a popular movie franchise, you basically have a blank check and to getting into any movie you want to at this point. And if you back out and because you think like it's gonna fail, but it turns out to be good, you basically just ruin your career. Because take this for example, in Christian Bale's first movie, Batman Begins, the first lady that played, I forget her name. I'm blanking on her name right now. The lawyer chick, his childhood friend. You remember her name?
No.
Damn it. Okay, well her original actress was in Batman Begins, but she didn't return for The Dark Knight because she thought it would fail and she wasn't feeling the whole comic book sense of it. So they replaced her. I think her name was Rachel. Yes, her name was Rachel.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Rachel. So Rachel's original actress, she left after the Batman Begins to do a different movie. That movie ended up failing, while The Dark Knight made $1 billion. And basically, I have not seen that original actress in any other movie, so on and so forth.
Really, it's I lost millions of dollars for making a bad decision.
Exactly, that too.
Yeah,
like these actors don't really need to worry about what they need in terms of financially.
This is what you always want to make sure, because you never know if you're gonna, even if you're in a big movie, right? You could always fail as an actor afterwards, even if you had that foot in the door. You always want to get percentage and royalties. You never want a flat cash.
Exactly.
You always want it to be that. And that's actually something with Disney too. Sorry about that. I was going to say the thing with Disney,
I was actually
which is like the fact that they make the contracts be so early, like with Tom Holland, where it's like he was a bit more of a nobody actor, and they make it so long, is so then their royalties is less. Because it's such a big thing.
I was actually gonna bring it back to Disney real quick, because take it back to like the 90s when The Lion King was coming out, and the kid voice actor, they gave him the choice to have a flat rate or a royalties, and he was smart enough to actually choose the royalties, and he's still getting royalties to this day for The Lion King. So yeah, it just goes to show like what you said before, like it doesn't really matter if the movie if you're making your career as actor, or your acting career fails after that movie, as long as you actually get the royalties, you're gonna be set either way.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how much the flat rate was gonna be. I bet it was probably gonna be something like Man, it probably wouldn't. It'd be like 500 at 100.
I think
500,000 at like least or something. What was it?
No, I think at that time in the 90s it was like $100,000.
That's it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, think about it. It's the 90s. That $100,000 was worth a lot more than it is today.
No, but I'm saying with like, yes, I agree with that. But I'm saying with like royalties, right? It's that kind of thing where if you got 1% even, like 0.0001%. Like he would have already doubled or like 10 times that money just in the first like year.
Exactly.
Because it wasn't Lion King like $1 billion.
So the thing why the flat rate was so low is because like Lion King was essentially a B movie in a sense. You already know that. Like the Lion King was made by the B team of Disney. Like they didn't think it was actually gonna do well. That's why they poured all their money to Pocahontas, which ended up being the flop in that year. And Lion King ended up being like the highest grossing animated movie of all time.
At the time.
Of all time until Frozen broke in 2013.
Yeah, that's what I mean. At the time.
Yeah, that's okay. Fair enough. So yeah, so that's why the flat rate was a little lower than normal.
Yeah, what was another thing that's about that with the B team? But it's like even with that, like if you're in the know, it's like that was during the Renaissance, which basically made it so that every movie, even if it was a flop, was still a huge success. And if you got royalties, you still make like tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That's true.
Or any Disney production, literally any of them, you want to do a flat rate, really, if it's animated.
Yeah, well, back when they were doing animation.
Like probably the only
traditional animation.
Yeah, probably the only time you wouldn't want to do that would be like for something like the Black Cauldron, which was like 50 years ago.
Yeah. I want to take it back to the J.K. Rowling controversy because I remember like hearing about the whole transgender controversy she had. Did you hear about that, Eddie?
Say that one more time.
The whole
J.K. Rowling transgender huge like statement for the transgender.
Yeah,
and people were not happy with what she said.
Do you know exactly what she said? Because I only heard about it. I don't have any like, social
media.
I
can't quote because I don't know exactly, but I know that she was not on the right side of it.
Well, at least she wasn't on what the fans believe she should have been on. Is what I'll say. Like it's like no, you shouldn't believe that. You should believe the other thing because the fans were like agreeing on one thing and then she disagreed on that. So then that was like the tension.
So now now with the whole series that's coming out, there might be some controversy with that coming back. Saying like, oh, she shouldn't really have anything to do with this production because she's transphobic and stuff like that.
Yeah, see, that is something I don't like. It's not so much in the sense of like I don't agree with her statement. I won't say that kind of thing right now. It's more in the sense of like she owned it. It says that she needs to like make money off of it. So it's really just more in the sense of don't have her involved because she's gonna fuck up the production because her decision making isn't good anymore. That's the thing. Because that opinion thing is like, well, I mean, she still makes good content. Like the production company's still gonna have her in some way, shape, or form. But it's like, no, don't have her because she's just like bad at it. It's the same thing with like George Lucas in the sense of like the games or extended universe. It's like you don't want him to be in that because like he's gonna fuck it up somehow. Where it's like
I can see it that kind of sense. Then
yeah, like that's a big problem. A big example is I'm trying to remember something about the Force Unleashed with Lucas where it was like they were making like these two Sith characters, right? And they hate each other, but then he was like, they're friends. It's like, no, like we just explained to you the story, and he's like, they're friends. So then they kind of had to like scrap that because they didn't want to have that in their story.
Yeah, I can see that. But I mean, like again, like it's George Lucas when it comes to Star Wars. Like he was fine with the original trilogy, but I think he never really saw it as an expanding thing, so he didn't really know what to do. So now I guess he just like does whatever the fuck he wants, and like if it sticks, it sticks. If it doesn't, then it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean, he only saw it as one movie. Everyone saw it as only one movie. That was actually supposed to be the biggest failure during like the year it came out.
Was Star Wars?
Yeah, it was supposed to be one of the biggest failures. Yeah, where people were like, "This is not gonna work," but only because of like the editors and some other things and the writer, they were able to like salvage it.
So yeah. Anything else you guys want to bring up about the Harry Potter movie?
No. I mean, we still gotta watch the others. So.
No, yeah, that's true. At this point, we've only seen the first two, so I mean, like always, we gotta watch the rest, and then we'll come back here, tell you guys what we think of those ones. And overall, like I think, like once we reach the end, we'll give our overall opinion on just how well it aged and everything like that, and whether it actually deserves a HBO series or not.
Yeah,
what do you guys think?
because we could always just bring up the whole like this film again in the other one of these other reviews if we ever decide to do them. As like, oh, by the way, we didn't say this on the previous review on like Chamber of Secrets, but here's the thing I gotta talk about, kind of thing.
Yeah, always leave like a somewhat sense of open-endedness when it comes to franchise movies with like, a big amount of movies in their franchise. So you can always come back to it. You can always like skip it over if you don't really need to, and so on and so forth. But if you guys have nothing else to add, I'd say thank you guys for coming in. Julian, as always, thank you. Special thanks to Eddie for taking the time out of his day to come here.
Yes, thank you for coming along, Eddie.
Exactly.
No, thank you guys for having me here.
Of course. And as always, guys, we'll have links to Twitch, Discord, and I'll leave a link to Eddie's TikTok in the bottom in case you want to check it out. And as always, if you like the shit, like it. If you don't like it, who cares? Because it's my shit. We can do whatever the fuck I want. And as always, you guys know what to do. See you guys next time. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.